Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Right on, writers. Welcome to Books by Adrian. I am your host, Adrian Santiago. It's very, very nice to be here and to see you all here with me. Hello and welcome. This is Livestream Sunday, season 5, the finale. It's finally here. It's been 4 months. 4 months. Whew. All right, 3 months. 3 months. Where's my math? No, 4 months. Oh boy. Whew. Anyway, it's good to have you guys all here. Thank you all for being so early. Victoria, I see you. Richard, Ben, Shannon, first through the door. Thank you all for being here. We'll get to the chat in a little bit. Let's see here. As mentioned, I am your host, Adrian Santiago. I am an author and content creator. If you are new around these parts, my debut novel, Mythic Shadow of the Spark, comes out in a couple of months, which is very, very exciting. If you would like to know more about it, if you would like to be alerted when it's coming out, if you would like to receive the free reader magnet that's coming down the pipeline for it, if you want any of those things, sign up for the newsletter. There is a clickable link in the description down below. There is also the link written out as you see it on the screen here. So please use them. As we go through this episode, we're going to be talking all about publishing, and any and all questions that you have for any of us on the panel today, please label them with a Q, even if it's just a topic suggestion and not really a question. At least that way I can spot it from a mile away and set it aside and throw it up as we go along. And we'll be sure to talk all about it. So again, that's going to be all about publishing. So let's go ahead and get to our panel of guests, because we've got some whoppers today. Here we go. First up through the door, you know her, you love her. Miss SD Houston, hello and welcome.
Thank you for having me today.
It's my pleasure. Please tell the folks at home who you are, where you're from, and what you've got going on these days.
Alrighty. Hello, everyone. My name is Shannon. I write under the pen name of SD Houston. I am the author of YA fantasy and romantic fantasy. I also have a YouTube channel here on YouTube under the name of SD Houston. I am 1/3 of the Self-Publishing Tips and Tricks podcast with Ben Pick from Writing to Write, who is in the chat, and Morgan Lee. We have our finale episode coming out on Thursday, so we hope to see a lot of you guys there. And many of the AuthorTube community have been our authors from this past year, and with it being our season finale, we are pulling clips from all of our author interviews and the best self-publishing and marketing tips and tricks that we learned throughout the season. And then I'm also one half of the AuthorTube Writing Conference, which is now open. The applications are open for 2023, and they will stay open until the end of December. You can go to authortubewritingconference.com or my website, my YouTube, not my website, my YouTube channel, to find out more information about the AuthorTube Writing Conference and find those applications.
Thank you very much, Shannon. You have done this before. I can very much tell. All right, next up, we have the great, the powerful Mr. Mike DeFrench. Welcome.
Hello. Good
How
to
are
be
you,
here.
sir?
Doing great. Doing very.
I'm so happy to see you. Please let the folks at home know all about you, who you are, where you're from, what you're working on these days.
Hi, my name is Mike DeFrench. I'm from Indiana, so deep in the Midwest of the U.S. And I write a lot of short stories. I have a series of them called Amphetamine Daydreams, and I put them all on my Substack of the same name. And I have a new book coming out soon. and I've almost done writing the sequel to it. So I've been working on some longer projects, and like 90% of what I write is horror.
We're gonna be talking about that cover, man. You teased us with a little flash of it. It looks good. It looks good. We're gonna talk about it. Next up, we have the very awesome and lovely Lauren Sefcik. Welcome. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. It's your turn. Who you are, where you're from, what you got going on these days.
Hi, my name is Lauren Sefcik. I'm from the Southwest in Arizona. I am the author of the Carving Legacy series, and my first book, which is currently out, Key of Arcandus, is available wide. My website is www.sefcik.com. That's where you can find all of what I'm currently up to. And then I'm also on TikTok at Sefcik. And then, I do high epic fantasy, and I currently just have one book out, so I'm kind of a debut baby author. But I wrote 3 of my manuscripts this year, so I have a schedule coming out. Book 2 will be out circa of 2023.
So you wrote 3 this year.
Yeah.
All right, show off. All right. Now the charming and wonderful Miss Melinda Kucera. Hello, how are you?
Hi.
Welcome. Tell the folks at home who you are, where you're from, and what you've been doing lately.
Oh, God. No pressure. I'm Melinda Kucera. I'm from New York, and I write a lot of books. I am the author of Curse Breaker Enchanted and the 9 sequels, soon to be number 10 out next year. I am also the author of this series, Robin of Larkspur. The 3rd book, part of it is up on Kindle Vella right now, or my Patreon. I'm trying to finish the book, but the characters have decided that they don't want to do the plot that I outlined. They don't want to do anything that I thought we were doing in this book, so I don't know where they're going at this point. So
I've always loved that. I've always loved that about you, that you just kind of let them run the show. It's just fantastic and hilarious.
I don't let them. They don't give me a choice. I can't make them do. I've tried. Like, I write all these detailed outlines. They go, no, we're not doing that. So
Hilarious. Let's say hello to the chat. Everybody here. Hello, Richard. Welcome. We are going to also have Garrett Robinson with us, but he's going to be running a little late tonight. He'll jump in whenever he can. And for those of you at home, we also know that Mike DeFrench is going to be bowing out after like the first half of the episode or so. So we'll have him for as long as we can and get as much out of him as possible before we let him go. Lauren is on the panel and in the chat as well. I almost thought that you were a different Lauren. Ben, what's up? Hello. Yes, ready for one last one. Our last live stream Sunday of the season and of the year. So it's a whole thing. Ace had an echo, but he fixed it. Okay, good. Cool. I thought it was me, but it's not. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for joining us. So, guys, we're talking publishing today. I was saying in the green room that it seems as though all of us here are either about to, in the midst of, or have been publishing a series for quite some time at this point. Once Garrett gets here, he's got like 1,100 books out in his series. So we have a nice wide range. My first book is going to launch a series, comes out in a couple of months. Mike, you've already put out 2 volumes of Amphetamine Daydreams, I believe. Is that right?
3.
3. Look at that. See, you just keep knocking them out. Shannon, you've had 3 in your series, if I'm not mistaken.
I've got my trilogy out and my box set that came out late last month.
Beautiful. Lauren, how many books in your series? I forget. You're still on the first one, but it's going to be an ongoing.
It's going to be a 5-book series, and I've got like 2 or 3 standalones that are going to be supplemental to the main series. So
Nice.
That's what I was working on this year.
And then Melinda, you're the other one with 1,100 books, as far as I can tell.
I have 5 series. The longest one is 10 books. We'll have 10 books this next in 2023. The second longest will have hopefully 6 books next year. And
See, I should have gone with prolific for your adjective, prolific, because wow. So let's get started from the beginning then. You know, are we all self-published here? I don't believe there's anyone traditionally published on the panel. All self-published. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the very first time that you ever published a book and what a nightmare it was or wasn't. What were the biggest like challenges right out the gate, and how hard was it to learn to overcome them? Lauren, you had a big smile on your face when I said that, so I'm going to throw you to the wolves first.
Well, honestly, so I published through Ingram Spark, and I think they're notorious for having like, it's one of those things where it's like there's no customer service. So completing all the different fields to get everything in there is like an all day drink inducing affair. I mean, on the plus side though, once you go through that hurdle, everything plugs and just filters out to everywhere you need to go. So I do like the struggle is at the upfront, but then, you know, everything after that is pretty easy. I would have to say the reason why I smiled was because my original cover designer just up and poofed. So So I think the biggest struggle was, I mean, I was supposed to publish in May of 2020, but instead it got pushed out to October. And that was because like I was trying to transition website hosts. I was trying to find a new cover designer. I was trying like all like the trilogy of insanity on the year of our lockdown in March was just kind of like a cluster mess of chaos for me.
Yeah. I hear horror stories like that pretty often, especially for first-time authors. Ingram Spark, as you say, is notorious for just having very crappy customer service. But what I am getting from a lot of authors is if once you figure out how to do it yourself and do it right on your own to the point where you don't need the customer service, then it's actually a very, you know, beneficial tool in their belt. But it's just the learning curve is a pain in the butt. Who else? Anybody else here publishing under Ingram Spark?
Hell no.
No. Yes, yeah, they have a reputation.
You don't need it if you use Draft to Digital. You don't need Ingram Sparks because it will do all the print distribution through Ingram for you, and you don't have to deal with them. And they have fabulous customer service. Draft to Digital.
Interesting. So it's like an outside.
You should never publish your ebooks through Ingram Sparks. Always publish those through anybody else except them. You should
Anybody
only be doing paperback. If you're going to do paperback through Ingram Sparks or hardcover, do it through Ingram Sparks, but never your ebook. I just want to put that out there because I see that every once in a while, new authors publishing their ebooks, and I just want to like shake them or stop them. No, don't publish your ebook through there. It's hard. No. There are better ways to do things, and you're not gonna get any of the benefits of going through KDP or going through just anywhere else.
Interesting. So it's an outside company that will use Ingram Spark on their own to get things done, but you don't have to directly deal with Ingram Spark.
Yes, Draft to Digital has a relationship with Ingram Spark. You can only do paperback through it, but it is so easy, and you can take your file. What you should do is obviously publish through KDP as well, your paperback, because they have a much better tool for previewing it. And then you can take, as soon as you get everything so it's perfect, so you're in all of the margins, so there's no issues on KDP side, you just take that and upload it to Draft to Digital, and you get your print book then distributed through Ingram Sparks, no problem. I tried doing Ingram Sparks on my own back in 2018. It was a 3-day nightmare before I finally just gave up. There's no customer service. It kept flagging all sorts of like color profile issues, and I'm like, I tried everything and I couldn't sort it out. So I was like, we're just not going to do that. So I left. I don't do Ingram Sparks. I won't do the 10-foot pole.
Yeah, fair enough. Mike, it looked like you had a question there for a second.
Yeah, well, yeah, I have a quick question. So you're saying don't even publish the paperback through KDP, just do it through draft to digital? Because I'm in their print
No,
beta,
do
but
both.
I've never used it. Okay, so is there
Do
an
both.
option when you go to do print on D2D to
Yes.
not submit it to Amazon? Okay, cool.
No, you
That's
can't.
really
You
cool.
can't control where it's submitted, but Amazon will. Amazon is
They'll
not
just
going
block
to
it.
show. It's not blocked. It's still there. Like if you were to search for it, but in searches and things, it's they like deprioritize.
It's gonna do
it.
their print on demand. Okay.
Yes, it'll prioritize theirs first, and the reason that you still want to put your paperbacks through KDP is it's a lot cheaper to get proofs, and you get them a lot faster through KDP.
And yeah,
And
well,
I
and
found the quality
publishing
to
is
be far
faster, right?
superior through KDP's.
Yeah.
If you even just to get like the books, so I've always done it that way.
Shannon, what process do you go through for publishing your books?
Well, I had a comment about Instagram about Ingram Spark. So I am at the moment not wide, and I could be wide in my paperback, but I haven't got there yet. So, and I made that decision very consciously in the very beginning. I researched for like almost 18 months before I published my first book. And I wrote my first book and the second book in that time period, got my covers done and all that, and just went back forth on pros and cons. And I decided to stay exclusive with KDP until I learned the ropes. So I think that was easier being a brand new author. Learn one platform and then move on. Now, I know I'm going wide next year in November. A couple months ago, I've already started getting my book out into other platforms. They're not distributed or up for sale because I'm not wide yet. But Ingram was the first place I went to, and I made my own covers. So I did hire a designer, but then I made my second cover just for a placeholder on NaNoWriMo, and I liked it better than the one my artist did. So with that, I knew that I already had all my files. I could do whatever I need. I uploaded the same exact files I used for KDP to Ingram Spark, and they were not accepted. They had their own template, which I didn't know doing that. But I have months to react to everything. So, but just know that their templates are different. So you can't take the same file from Amazon that was accepted on Amazon that will work on Ingram, at least not in my experience.
It does work on draft to digital, though. They're
I was gonna say that too.
doing a different thing. They have a different integration with Ingram Spark, so you can use the exact same files, and it works. But you're right; if you just upload them to Ingram Sparks, it won't work, even though the dimensions and everything and the margins are all exactly the same. Yeah. It's the biggest mystery. I don't understand it. I'm sorry, Mike. I think I cut you off.
No, you're fine.
No, he was agreeing with you.
I was gonna say, yeah. I haven't like published a print through D2D yet because I already have all my paper up on KDP, and it seemed like they were going to submit it to Amazon and Ingram regardless. So I was like, well, I don't want them to submit it to Amazon if it's already published through Amazon. But I mean, I went through the process, and yeah, all the exact same
Amazon
files
will just suppress
pretty much
it.
work fine. That's cool.
Now,
I didn't know that.
Now, Richard is asking here, let's see, should self-published authors learn some basic skills in some of the other skills, layouts, basic Photoshop, etc., so you have to farm less out to paid people? Before I throw it to everybody else, I'll throw in my 2 cents here. I just feel like anything that you can do yourself and you're happy with how it turns out, do it. Absolutely. If you have the skills or the time to learn the skills to create your own cover, that's going to save you some money. And if you're happy with your cover, that's fantastic. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to trust I'm not a good artist. I'm a writer. I'm not an artist. I'm not going to draw my own cover knowing that my skills in that area are going to pale in comparison to somebody who's been doing it for a long time. And you know, there's other parts to it that I don't have any training in. There's marketing, that science that goes into this kind of stuff. So that's where I'm coming from, is whatever the task at hand is, if you have the skills in it to do it yourself, great. If you have the time to learn them, fantastic. And if you don't, there are ways to get them economically. And if you want top shelf stuff, you're going to have to shell out the big bucks. And that's just reality and realism. What do you guys think? I'm going to throw it to Lauren first.
I would have to agree. I actually do have a background in art and stuff, so I do know how to use Photoshop. I do know how to use a lot of different elements, and I can technically learn how to do the layout. It might be important to learn the details of formatting and stuff like that, just so that you know and you're aware of what you're dealing with. But for me, it's one of those things where, given the background of what I do and do not know, I prefer to put it in the hands of professionals where that is what they do, because I want to get, especially with all of the stigmas that are still attached to self-published authors, I always want to put my best foot forward. And I understand that, like, it's expensive. It is very expensive to publish a book, especially if you want to do it the best way possible. And so I understand that people who do things themselves, you know, to save money and stuff like that, that's fantastic. And especially if they've got the art skills and the graphic know-how, then obviously use it. Use whatever skills you have under your belt. For me, I have a specific vision and I have a very specific way I want to present myself. And so in that instance, I want to leave those other attributes to professionals to kind of give it that clean, polished format, while I focus on the meat and potatoes of what I'm setting out to do on my end. So that's my take on it.
Anybody else want to jump in on this particular question?
So I think it comes down, I agree with what you said, Adrian, but I think it comes down to what costs you want to pay for, money or time. So when I was first starting, I had 18 months, wrote my book, research, figured out how to format the interior of my print book. You know, I watched a ton of videos on how to do that kind of stuff, a ton, and, you know, try and figure it out myself. And, but now that I'm actually like into my writing and got books out, and I know that, you know, I need to get another book out eventually. I can't wait, you know, a couple years like I did with the first one. At least that's what I feel for myself. It may be something that I will pay out for later versus having that time, because I don't have as much time now.
Melinda, you also had something to chime in with.
I don't want to knock anything, but there are a lot of people out there selling services to authors who don't know their stuff, or they may not know, they may be misrepresented. They may not even realize that they don't know the things that they are selling are not quite there. I've been self-publishing since 2016. I have run into a lot of scammers, a lot of people who claim to know what they're doing, and some of them were really good at certain types and certain genres of covers and weren't so great at other ones. And if you don't know, you need to do the homework too, whether you're buying it or you're making yourself. You need to know what's selling, and don't be me. Don't buy these beautiful covers that can't sell at all. I ended up going back and redoing, because I didn't have the money to pay for another round of pro covers that were going to, maybe they would have done better that time, but I didn't have the money. So I had to create the cover myself, and it actually has outsold every pro cover I've ever bought. So it's had 2 book buffs, and I could not get any before. And it's a cover that I put together. I studied the top and I looked at all the books that are like mine. And because I'm wide and I'm competing more with traditional books than with indie authors, so I specifically looked at the traditional authors who are closest to, you know, the audience that I'm trying to reach, the books that I'm writing. I write epic fantasy. I don't know if I said that earlier. Like Lord of the Rings, like Wheel of Time, not like Game of Thrones, but without a lot of the blood, death, gore, and other things, like cozier Game of Thrones.
Sure.
if you could do that, like, and I've just found that for that particular type of story that I am telling, I have a really difficult time finding professional artists who can do that. A lot of pro artists do a lot of fantasy romance covers, and that's what works for fantasy romance does not work for the audience that I'm trying to reach. So the covers that I have done myself have actually made a lot more money. So I just want to put that out there, so that no matter which way you go, and there is no wrong way, it's whatever is right for you at the time. And if you're just starting out, doing the cover yourself may be all that you can do, and that's not a bad thing. That's what I did when I first started, and then whatever money I earned from that, I used to build the platform, pay for the next books, and just grow everything. Because your backlist is something that you're going to recover. That's something else that people don't talk about, is whatever cover you get today, like, this is not the cover that this has had. This has come out in 2016. It has had 5 covers. So, like, whatever cover you have today, you may not have a year from now or 6 months from now. So that's the other thing I would say is don't fall in love with any of your covers, because if the trends change, if my genre went towards symbol covers, then I would have to give up this beautiful cover and get a symbol cover because it has to be marketable. So do your homework, figure out who is your reader and what kind of books they are buying. What do those covers look like? And keep your eye on them, because if they start changing, then you may need to change too, depending on how things are selling. So, and it also helps you to evaluate the people that if you do decide to hire someone, their services. If you've done it yourself, then you know what it looks like, how much time it takes, and you can make sort of an assessment. So just protect yourself, because there are a lot of really great people out there selling services author, and there's a lot of people who are not. So just be very careful out there.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you were talking about finding your audience, the people who are going to be looking for your book, the people who read other books like yours. Me being somebody who's about to release their first book, this is something that I'm in the midst of right now. What are some of the ways, some of the techniques and things that you guys do to find your audience and to target them when it's time for marketing? Shannon, looks like you're ready to dive in.
Yeah, I went to kind of piggyback back off of this conversation anyways, and you went right to what I was going to talk about. So I didn't realize, but some people don't know Alex Newton or K-Lytics. So I don't know if I'm saying it clear enough. I can put it in the chat. But when I decided to do genre research for my romantic fantasy, that's the first place I went, was to K-Lytics and paid for that report, $37 for whatever report that you want. And it's a very comprehensive report. Now, it's only Amazon, so it's not wide. But he's a data guy. He takes all the data that's there in that genre, and he looks at the top 100 covers, and he puts them all there in the report so you can see them. And these are not the top 100 covers.
How much did this cost?
$37. Yeah.
Wow,
so,
that
and then
sounds
this is not even, that's scratching the surface of it. It's not even the rest of the report. So, but the top 100 covers are not those covers that are in the top 100 that got there because they did a whole bunch of promos. It's those who are stayed consistently in the top 100. And he takes those covers, and he takes the top 100 blurbs, and then he takes what is the average ebook price that's being sold there on Amazon for it. And this will give you a very good idea of what people are looking for in your genre right now. And he updates those reports. He tries to do it every year, but sometimes there's some months in between depending on the genre. And it also shows
it's a $37 fee, and you continually get new info?
No, it's about one report. Because
one report. Okay.
Yeah, everything changes.
Yeah, but so you're getting the most up-to-date thing. That sounds
Yes.
good.
Every time
we
you-
have a link for that somewhere in the description or comment, so I can come back to this later tonight and
Yeah,
check
if
it
somebody
out. That
would-
sounds
I'll
really
grab
awesome.
it.
Yeah, Shannon, throw it in the chat. I'll pin it to the top, and then I'll put it in the description below.
I should be an affiliate because they do allow you to be an affiliate link or person, but I'm not signed up for it yet. So, but yeah, they're awesome, and it's and it even shows you like how much is it selling right now and trending. But again, this is all just Amazon, so not wide.
But Amazon is a huge.
Richard
chunk
asks,
of,
"Is this it?"
That's it.
All right, so let me go over to the actual.
And he puts out free reports every now and then. The free reports he puts out are not as in depth, but he'll show like genre trends over the last 10, 15 years or whatever, depending on how long the genre has been around.
Awesome.
All right, so
I really quick, I wanted to throw my 2 cents in on the covers topic that we were on before, and kind of build off of what a few people were saying earlier. So like, you have to gauge learning the skills and doing all the stuff yourself, like the layout, cover, all that. It's either you're spending your money or your time. But so if you spend your money, you're getting one cover and one book's layout, right? And you're spending a lot of money for that stuff. If you're spending your time, you're spending your time, which is more valuable than the money, because you could be writing another book instead of doing all that stuff. But then you have the skills and you can do it again and again. So once you get it down, you can have templates and stuff that you save and refer to for different genres or a series. The covers in a series are all brothers and sisters, so you're really just swapping out the artwork and stuff. And once you get good at finding artwork, whether you're paying somebody to make it or finding royalty free, or I do AI, you know, you can get it really fast and really cheap, and so that time pays for itself. At least if you're, you know, if you're writing lots of shorter books instead of, you know, spending a long time writing a 1,000-page book, you know, maybe pay for it then. If just depends on, you know, how many covers do you need, stuff like that. You might be better off spending your money on editing and taking the time to learn that stuff yourself. It'll pay off big time, and you get better at it every single one that you do. You learn more skills, and then like she said earlier, you know, you publish a book. She published a book in 2016. It's had 5 different covers. Whenever you feel like it, you can refresh any cover you want. You don't have to pay somebody a whole, you know, hundreds of dollars to get a refresh cover. You can be like, I'm way better at covers now, so let me go through and redo that. Same with formatting. You know, that's the beauty of self-publishing, is like, say you learn how to format way better than when you did it originally. You can just go back. It doesn't take that long to just put a new file in on KDP and everything is suddenly updated. So I think it's way more valuable to try to learn it yourself.
Well, Mike, along that same topic, Richard was asking, is AI art a threat to traditional freelance digital artists, or is there room for both in the marketplace? Your thoughts, since among us, as far as I know, you're the most heavily AI user.
I don't think it's a threat in its current form. It's not good enough. And even if it was good enough, I don't know, it takes time for you to learn how to put in the right prompts to get what's in your head to be created. And if anything, I would think that it would just be used more for coming up with rapid concepts and then hiring a professional artist to like give them the concepts and then say, do this perfectly. Because right now, I mean, I've never seen an AI draw fingers correctly at all. And like 75% of the time the faces are messed up. Like, it's not perfect. So if you want to use AI for cover art, try to put somewhere in the looking away from the camera, because they can do backs of heads and stuff really good, but faces, fingers, stuff like that, it's disgusting.
You have to be careful with AI.
I don't think it's a threat,
because there's like the legal gray area with using it, and the laws could change at any time, and then you'd have to immediately change your cover. So I would just be really careful about printing anything with AI on it, since it's such a gray area and artists are like very up in arms. And I've seen a lot of AI art that includes actual watermarks from really big stock photo sites and signatures from actual artists. So none of us know enough about art or things to recognize that. So I would say just be super careful if you're using it, because you don't want to open yourself up to a lawsuit.
So I would say go whatever AI art engine you're using, they'll have, you know, in their terms of service on their website, what the copyright is for that. And the one that I use states that if you don't have the rights to use, you can put in an initial image that it will build off of. So if you don't have the rights to the initial image, that's not your copyright. You're kind of, as far as the law is currently, you are infringing on the original image's copyright owner.
No, I'm not very educated.
You're good.
I'm not very educated on it, Mike, but I was wondering if you could answer this, and forgive me if you can't, but I thought that there was also, at least with some of these AI engines, more like pay service sides to them that would give you more rights with the actual, you know, finished image. Shannon's nodding her head. I'm gonna kick it to her.
So I have a little bit of this on my channel. So I use Midjourney to create images for my box set. And I put in, like, you can actually in Midjourney, and I pay for it, and the license states that I share copyright with Midjourney. So if that ever changes, of course, I would need to take out the images until I make $20,000. Then I have to share part of my whatever I make with Midjourney. The way I look at it is at that point, I'll just stop. I'll pull them out, or if anything ever comes. But as far as like, this is probably my first one says Blood of the Lily, but I put the actual pictures into Midjourney because you can upload a picture. All I did was upload a picture and ask it to generate me a picture. Not a single one came out with my book cover. And it said, because Blood of the Lily was like the best one, because it had blood, the word blood up there, right? And it seemed like the AI read the blood because most of the pictures had like blood in them, and it was really weird. So, right now it's not that good. But then you also have things like it's one of the sites you can go to buy stock images. I don't remember which one it was. I don't know if it's Shutterstock or which one, but one of those are now accepting AI artwork. But there are limitations to it. I don't remember all of them. And I know that artists can opt out to not have their images used for their AI program. So eventually I think the law is going to catch up and we'll figure out.
Very cool. Yeah,
I disagree. I don't think the law is ever going to, because they're talking. Most of the conversation is revolving around you can say to do a picture in the style of blank artist, and they're saying that that's infringing on their copyright. But in copyright law, your style is not your copyright. Your actual finished artwork is your copyright. So I don't see that ever actually going into law, at least in the United States. I
think they'll give the artists an option to opt out being used in AI engines. I think that.
I don't think that they have a. I don't
Sorry,
know how it works.
I saw our hand up.
Very good.
I'm gonna have to stand on the side of I'm not going to use AI art. I come from a space where I'm friends with a lot of original artists. Nice. There are AI systems out there where if they're only scraping from stock photo that they have like mutual, copyright access to, where it is considered open stock and you can use it. That's one thing. But a lot of these AI programs are literally pulling from artists where, they put their blood, sweat, and tears onto this, and it's just ripping from whatever it can find off of like a Google search. A lot of them also rip all of your private information and also use it for whatever purposes to sell. I'm kind of right now, I don't see this improving anytime soon, especially with legislation. So my stance on it right now, I don't believe it's ethical to use. And, with maybe some very, very scant few programs like what I said that only use like open source stock imaging, I don't agree with the system. And I mean, it's also going in the fact that we even have AI writing programs at this point. Like, I'm for right now, as it stands, I don't agree with it. And I don't find it ethical in any fashion. So
now here's
okay. But do any of you actually feel threatened by AI writing programs? Do you think,
No.
AI books are going to start selling more than yours?
No,
because I can write better than that.
Do you think it should be illegal for an AI to read your book and then write some lame crap in the style of Mike the French?
Yeah. And see, that's the thing.
I wouldn't consider that an infringement on my copyright. If somebody tried to sell my book, I would consider that an infringement on my copyright.
Right.
But the thing with AI is that
sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to one quick thing that a lot of people are overlooking with the AI writing programs is a lot of the most popular genre, like romance, is very popular. And romance is very, very trope heavy. There are certain things readers like, and those are going to be the first books that AI is going to be writing and people are going to be trying to sell, because it is a very, very voracious audience. They're constantly looking for new books, and those books are very templated. There's a set sequence of events. There's subgenres within romance, and the books in them are very, very similar because that's what readers want. Not a knock against authors, because we need to deliver what readers want to read, but that is where AI books are going to start showing up first, and we'll see what happens with that. If you're writing things that are more genre bending or things that are not quite as trope heavy, I don't think you have to worry about AI writing programs anytime soon. But romance is the one that you guys need to be. That's where it's going to come first, because those books make a lot of money. So that's where they're going to go after. So
I will say this, the one use that I have found in the AI art is kind of story prompting, so to speak, where, like, for example, for my cover, I had an idea for my cover, and I shopped it around to a bunch of artists, and I wasn't happy with their take on it. I wasn't happy with their alternate pitches. So I went back to the drawing board, and one of the things I did was I went into an AI art generator and I punched in what I wanted out of a cover, and it gave me not exactly what I wanted, but it sparked other ideas that could kind of get me there. And then I started taking things together and putting things together, and making my own mock-up of a cover that I'm now shopping around again, and I'm far happier with what this is going to result in. I'm not using the AI art, but the AI art got me there, so to speak. So I don't know, it's like a nice little tool to like have in your back pocket, but I wouldn't publish my book with the AI art itself. Then again, like I said, Mike's had some real success with that as well. So I don't know, there's a lot to be learned in that area still, I think. I definitely
mood boards too. Mood boards.
Oh yeah, sure, all that stuff. Yeah, especially if you're not particularly artsy and you need a little help in that area. Absolutely.
Or just like social media content, like Instagram posts and stuff.
Yeah.
And it could be like, this is a, idea of what this character could look like, or this is this castle, lots of fun, easy, cool, fun to share stuff can be done with it. Besides it's covers.
It's one thing, like, if you're using it just for like motivational mood board, inspiration, leaping off points, ways to communicate what's in your head, and like you're trying to show like a cover artist, here's what I'm thinking, here's what, I understand that. And I don't disagree with using it for that. I think where we get into the dicey point is when we're using it to put on a product we intend to sell and make a profit off of. At that point, you are claiming that you did this, or at least have the rights to use this. And in a way, when you're using a program that's scrubbing and stealing from artists that in any other world would not give you permission to use a byproduct of their art, as like some sort of way to puzzle piece things together. I think that's where you get dicey. Plus, on TikTok, we're finding out that some of these AI programs, like I said, not only scrub your personal information, but even if you use social media where you have your face or any of your own work on there, it'll literally take it and add it to the algorithm for others to use, like your own personal entity for other people's AI cover art or what have you. So like I said, there is a lot in its current form that's like, I guess you would say, the Wild West, and a lot of it's not ethical right now. And so, I mean, people are going to do what they're going to do. I don't think AI is ever going to go away. I'm in agreement on that front.
It's here forever, yeah.
I just think we need to be responsible on how we use it, and we need to advocate, for correct usage, or at least appropriate usage going forward, whether that's through legislation or through, our communities and supporting artists and authors in the same spaces together.
To be honest, I'd be okay if something or someone got inspiration from anything that I put out. That's the way I feel about it. But I also work under the model where I feel that education should be free. So
there's that whole side of things too, right? Because as a writer, especially when you're first starting out, one of the first things that you find yourself doing, and one of the first things that any accomplished author will recommend that you do, is that you steal from other authors. If you like the way Neil Gaiman writes his prose, try to write your prose like Neil Gaiman. If you like the way that George Martin sets up his chapters, like I did, set up your chapters, and etc. And in amalgamations of all of these different styles and different formats and different techniques, you somehow develop your own over time. And before you know it, some new author 20 years from now is going to be emulating you in their work and trying to find their own voice. And, what about like folk art, where people literally go around and collect other people's art, whether it's a bottle cap or whatever, and put it together and make something new out of it. There's gray areas to all of that is I guess what I'm saying. And definitely we're still in the early days of this AI stuff, and there's much to be learned with it. And I'm sure much is going to change over time with it. We do have a new question, switching things up a little bit. If we switch,
one last
okay.
point.
Yeah, hit it.
Well, so I agree that there's absolutely unethical ways to use AI art to get stuff where, I mean, as the law is written already, it is illegal. So if you want to use it, I don't think you should feel bad. You should just, do a little bit of research and make sure that you're using it legally and doing it correctly. And at least for the one that I use, you can tell it which artists to emulate. And if you're that worried about infringing on copyright, you can just pick, artists that have been dead for hundreds of years and everything's in the public domain. And then there's literally no risk at all.
Or don't use an artist, yeah.
Yeah, it just pulls from like images of reality. But yeah, it's really easy to use it ethically.
Makes sense. So now Ben is asking, if we switch from publishing with Ingram Spark to draft to digital, will we lose the existing reviews or details that is linked to it, to the ISBN? I'm assuming you would get a new ISBN, right?
No, it depends.
No?
If it's his ISBN, he shouldn't lose it. But then it's also like, what is it? What platform is talking about? If he's talking about Amazon, yeah, they'll probably, it won't be lost. It's the same ISBN, but I don't know about the other platforms.
Interesting.
I think that might be a question for draft to digital, about how I think that's a better question for them, because there might be a process that you need to follow. And it's tricky to use the same ISBN. So I think that you should just pop the question into their help desk and get clarity from them.
Okay.
What do you mean that's tricky to use the same ISBN?
Because the ISBN is tied to your manuscript, right? It's tied to your actual book.
If you buy it, it's through Bowker, so it doesn't matter. It's not through the platform if you're not using the platform's one. So it's tied to you in your book, I guess, unless you're in a different country, maybe.
If it's the thing with the ISBN is, if you use it on Amazon and then try to use it somewhere else, even though it's your ISBN, it was first published through. There's some issues with that. I always just use the free ISBNs because I don't have any use cases where it's ever been an issue. So I don't pay for ISBNs.
It's not been an issue for me. I've got my books through Ingram. They're not live, but I use the same ISBN and it hasn't been an issue.
I don't know. I've seen posts in the Wire for the Win group that with people having issues if they bought the ISBN and published the book on Amazon and then tried to use it on Ingram Sparks or Draft to Digital or just anywhere else. So there is ways of getting around that. There's a sequence you can follow that will alleviate that issue. But I just use the free ISBN, so I can't answer that question. But I do think that is something that you need to take up with support before you do anything. Like, don't remove your books from anywhere. Like, first find out all of the information first.
Nice. Now, I was wondering something, you guys. A lot with the topic of publishing a series. Lauren, you've got one out. You have begun your series with that one. Everyone else has already got their series kind of going. With publishing series, what are you finding is how do you navigate the rollover effect? Which is to say, like, how do you lead people to your first book and then from your first through the rest? Is there any particular method that you use for marketing your book or your book series rather, as a series rather than as an individual book? Anything like that comes to mind with the publishing process and the marketing process?
Me?
Anybody, if you'd like.
For right now, with me being the baby author that I am, so I'm sure the others will have a completely different process to me. So for me, I'm still kind of like discovering the route. But I think where I've been going forward is that because I'm more of the gamer anime space, that's who my market demographic is. And so that's who I roll out to. So instead of comparing my book to other books, I compare my books to other anime and game titles that they're used to going through. And a lot of gamers and stuff like that are readers. In fact, like World of Warcraft has their entire novel series. You've got the Warhammer series. You have, Dragon Age and all that other stuff. And my book follows those tropes and those similarities and those feels. And so I'm able to kind of roll off of that based off of the familiarity of those zones. And so, now that things are kind of opening up now, event wise too, I like when I do book presentations or show ups or whatever, I'll be more at like anime and comic conventions. Book festivals are a little bit fewer out in my area, but they're usually already full by the people that go every year. So that's kind of how I'm navigating things.
Nice. That's such an interesting take on it too. The comparing it to other things other than books that you're interested in, where your influences come from. Because whenever people ask me like what influenced my book, I don't mention other books. I mention Breaking Bad, and I mention uh, Blade Runner, or things like that. Things that kind of the Matrix that like are kind of ingrained into it just from my DNA as a fan of stuff and what I watch and what I intake. So that's interesting. Maybe marketing to the people that are interested in the stuff that inspired your book. That's kind of cool. Any other thoughts on the whole like marketing to a series?
Well, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
That's
No,
okay.
you're already up. You go.
Oh, okay. So there's different stages I have found with marketing a series. When you've only got like one book in the series and you're going to get the next one out, things that you can do definitely is get a reader magnet out. You don't even have to do a reader magnet. I don't actually have any. I just give away the first book. The other things that I do if a book has only, because I have a couple series where there's only a couple of books in it, is that I'll run pricing promos. And when the next books are going to come out, they may be on pre-order for 99 cents. And that gets a lot of interest. And I do have a newsletter. I started the newsletter in 2017, and I keep them apprised of what's going on. If there is a character that they like from another series that is going to be in it, I make sure to highlight that so that readers who like that character can go over that. If you have a longer series, so that's if you have a shorter series and have new books coming out. If you have, like me, a longer series, like I said, this series has 9 books in it currently. Book 7, 8, and 9 came out this year. Book 10 is coming out next year. Readers read because they like the characters. Our writing is, our writing style, they also like that. But really, like, what gets them to go from book 1 to book 2 to book 3 to book 10 is the characters. So I make sure that I don't ever kill off any of the characters that they really like. There was a post once in a Facebook group and somebody was like, oh, my read through was terrible between this book and this book. And so everybody's like, well, what are you doing in there? And they're like, oh, well, I killed off this character that everybody likes and nobody reads on to the next book. I'm like, well, that's something you need to keep aware of. If there's certain characters that readers really fall in love with and connect with, you can't kill them if you want to keep writing that series, or they're not going to continue reading it. So there's things like that. And there's also...
But I want to kill them. I want to so bad.
Then you have to start your series like Game of Thrones did, where the whole point of it is to read to see who gets killed, who survives. Like, you have to, the first book, the very first chapter of the first book, you set us up a promise that you are making to the reader. You have to make sure, especially in a series, that first chapter, and especially that entire first book, makes the right promise that you will be able to deliver on throughout the length of the series, whether that series is 3 books or 25 books. Or in the case of
That's a really good
50-something books.
That's a really good piece of advice. I take some writing courses from Dean Wesley Smith and Christine Catherine Rush. They have like a whole bunch of lectures and workshops and stuff. And one of Dean's rules for short stories was, if you're killing the main character in a short story, you have to say that you're killing him in the first sentence, like literally right up front. You can't have this like shock moment. And yeah, I live by that rule, and I've never heard it like translated that way in series characters and stuff.
Well, the way that I came to it in my book was I thought of American Gods by Neil Gaiman, where when it first came out, it was such a sort of departure for him from what he normally wrote. And what he normally wrote, while it always had like very dark, things happening, dark imagery and undertones and whatnot, it was always kind of family friendly in a way. Like, pretty much anybody can pick up The Sandman and read it. There's some weird stuff in there, but pretty much anybody can read it. So when he comes to American Gods, and knowing that he was going to get into some really, really outside the box stuff in that book, he made a promise to the reader in the very beginning of the book.
Yes, he did.
Chapter 1, page 1, he drops the F-bomb like 5 times, just to let you know the F-bombs are coming and they're coming hard. If you can't hang with it, get out, because that's the kind of book this is. And after the first chapter, he puts in an interlude, and it already throws you off because you're like, it's been one chapter. You're already giving me an interlude. And of course, it's this incredibly sexual scene between the goddess of love and a John who she is tricking into worshiping her, and he slowly disappears into her vagina. And so it's, again, Neil Gaiman letting you know, if you can't hang with this, get out now. It's not going to get any easier. I'm only going to get weirder from here. And so that's kind of where I came from with my book. I'm like, I'm going to introduce you to a couple characters that I hope that you really care about in the prologue. And then I'm going to kill them off like pretty much right away. And they'll be the murder victims in the first chapter. So that way, introducing you to the idea of people are going to die. Before we continue on, we just had the man, the myth, the legend join us. Let's bring him out here. If I can find his nameplate, there it is.
That's perfect.
Garrett Robinson, welcome. Let the people at home know who you are, where you're from, and what you got going on these days.
That crackling on your sound cue, the shivers it sends down my spine every single time. Hey, everyone. I'm Garrett Robinson. I'm a fantasy author. I write books, a lot of them. And you can find me on Amazon, but you can also find me at my own website, because why should we contribute to the world's largest river? I shouldn't say that. My livelihood depends on them. But underrealm.net is where you can find my books directly, but I'm also on Amazon. How's everybody doing this Sunday afternoon?
We're doing good, man. It's really good to see you. Welcome to the panel. We're talking about publishing. At the moment, we're talking about publishing a series and all of the ins and outs of marketing a series, as it were. Mike, did you have something that you wanted to throw up real quick? I heard you begin to speak.
I was just saying that it was perfect timing, because I got to hop off now.
I thought that's what you were going to say. Go ahead and say goodbye to the folks at home, and we'll catch you next
everyone.
time, bro. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good hanging out. Thank you for having me.
Bye, Mike.
If I just leave, will it mess up your
No, you just click on Leave Studio and you're good to go.
Okay. All right, bye.
Thanks,
everybody. Bud. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Later,
Bye.
Mike. All right. So, Garrett, sorry. Lauren, didn't mean to freak you out. Garrett, why don't you go ahead and fill us in a little bit on how you market your series leading from one to the next. You know, the first book comes out, you want to lead it to the next book, and then you want to lead people who pick up the third book to go back to the first and, start to see. How do you kind of work around that with your audience and your marketing?
Oh yeah, well I totally cheated, and I wrote 4 different series, 5 now. I'm writing the 5th one, that are all in the same world. Yeah, so a lot of people, like you could just easily say that it's all literally one series, because it's all same universe, split characters. It's a whole MCU thing going on. And what I found, like, this kind of goes without saying. A lot of people are gonna just be like, well, duh, but you want to market the next book in whatever series the person is reading, right? Because I didn't do this at first. I would have, like, in book 3, a character would show up, and then after that book, they would then go off and have their own series. And so in that book 3 of the first series, I would be like, hey, do you want to read about this other person's adventures? Go check out this other series. But that didn't work as well or as effectively as when I was like, okay, get to the end of the series that you're reading, and then, hey, you remember that guy from book 3? Like, when somebody finishes book 1, 2, 3 in a series, the next thing they're going to want to read is book 2, 3, 4. The next book in that series, whatever story they're currently in. If you've done your job, if you wrote a good book and they finish the end of it, they're going to be like, okay, I want to read the next one. Don't advertise your other work is, I guess, what I would say as the primary thing. You want to keep people going on whatever they are currently in, because, I mean, especially for indie authors, we're usually writing about 1 billion different things. We produce a lot more books on average than a traditionally published author would. And so you want to focus on what they are currently invested in. And at the end of it, then you can even give them, like, multiple choice. You can be like, you can go read this series, you can read that, you can read that. But yeah, the main thing is keeping people focused on what they should be what they should be focused on at the time. I don't know if that was coherent. I've been on the crazy writing project the last week, and I have no brain left today.
Makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Ladies, any other thoughts on this same topic?
I haven't talked on it yet.
Please.
So, as far as marketing, I mean, if anyone follows my channel, you see all the marketing I do for the first book of my series. And of course, I do everything's on the first book of my series. There are occasional promotions where you can add a second book. But what I'm working on next came from one of our authors that we interviewed on the Self-Publishing Tips and Tricks, which is a different type of setup, which to me, I didn't know it had a name, or and it was kind of blew my mind when she told me about it. But writing a non-linear series and ending it with a book that brings in everybody from those books. That way you're not always marketing to the first book of the series, every book you put out, which can all be linked in the same universe in a way, so you can market each and every book in that series. And A.L. Knorr is the one I got that from. And she did the same thing as what I'm trying to remember the name, Garrett is talking about. Each of the girls in her first 4 books all came together in the 5th book, but then each girl went on to have her own series later on. So she just kept expanding outward from all of her characters. That's what I hope to do.
Yeah, mine's not linear too. I have, at the end of this book, you can either go to the next book in the series or the first book in his sister's series. And if you don't read the first book in his sister's series, it doesn't matter, because she shows up again in his 4th book and in his 5th book and in his 6th book. And there's a bunch of stuff that didn't fit in. Is it's a giant Dark Lord takedown, huge scenario from book 3 through 6, and there was so much that just didn't fit. And if you want all of that, you can go read her 2nd, 3rd, and 4th book, which recapitulates some of what was going on from her perspective and what she was doing to help him, along with a whole bunch of characters who are not in his books, that are only in her books, and what they were doing to help with the situation. So I've got all of that. And then in his 6th book, there is a flashback to a scene that will be in the 5th book in this series, which I'm going to get to in 2023. So mine is completely non-linear, but I have the MCU. Every single book I read is the same. It takes place in the same country, roughly the same time period. Maybe most of them are contemporary. Some of them may be prequels of other series or other books. And readers just, I don't know, the readers that I'm writing for seem to just really like it. So,
and it's just fun, right? Isn't it?
Well,
so
like
much
they can't
more
control
fun?
the characters,
Yeah.
Like I didn't need to write a bunch of his books, and then his sister wanted her own series, and I was like, okay, well, I need to know more about you since you're going to appear in his next books, and I don't know anything about you. I didn't even know you existed until you showed up. So, yeah, I can't control them. So
I get that too. I get that with my characters too, but the other way, instead of them sort of telling me what they want to do, the people who have read my stuff, any feedback they give me about characters is kind of leading where stuff is going for me, because one of my earliest readers of my early chapters is the guy who I call my producer. He helps me out with a lot of this stuff, and he was reading a chapter where we follow one of the main characters. He spends a little time with his sister in this chapter before he goes and meets the big boss and the big action scene happens. And I asked him who his favorite character in the chapter was, and he said the sister. And I was like, she has like 4 lines. What are you talking about? He's like, yeah, but she served her brother a whiskey without him asking. So she's my favorite character. And I was, and all of a sudden I realized everything I needed to know about who she was as a character was in that moment that she had with her brother. And now she's a main character in book 2, and she's got this crazy arc that's going to go through all 3 books, and she's going to be one of my main characters now. And I had no plans for her like that before. So that's a lot of fun when they kind of like just kind of take off on their own and do their own thing. On the topic of sort of leading your readers from one book to another, I'm sad that Mike had to leave. He is the one who turned me on to the idea of putting a QR code on the back of your book, leading them to your newsletter or to your website or to whatever exactly. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And so and then I was like, well, why stop there? What if on the last page, when you get to the end, the next page, there's a QR code that leads to where they can leave a review for your book. And if they flip past that page, maybe there's an ad for your other books in the series, and there could be QR codes leading them to their purchase sites from there. I'm just thinking about like, well, you have a digital book that you can put links to that lead them to buying your other books. QR codes are links in real life that people just, scan with their phone. So what do have you guys implemented these QR codes? I know that at least two of you have. I'm going to throw Shannon up here first.
Oh, yeah, I put it into my back matter. So not on the back of my book, but my back matter. And then I also made, so it's kind of like, I always say I have a non-traditional business card, which is just my first book with the QR code on the back that I hand out. So I got a bunch of those. And yeah, so that's how I do that. Can I add something to the back matter idea?
Please.
So
Yeah.
this is something I just learned, and it's actually kind of helpful possibly for the writer too, which is, and some people are probably just where you start including chapters to the next book, right? But some writers will write the book, get it put out, and then start writing the next book, and then put those chapters in there or whatever. And there was a writer that I was just listening to on a podcast, and she said, when you're writing your book, you don't stop at the end. You keep writing to the next part, and then you stop a couple chapters in, because then you pick up from there when you take your break. So I thought that was genius for a writer perspective.
Garrett, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I am pretty much. I decided a long time ago. I used to go real nuts on a bunch of stuff, and a bunch of stuff meaning like designing a whole back matter thing, and my email list, and my autoresponder, and all this sort of stuff. And me personally did get to the point where I was doing more of that than writing. And so I put a lot of that stuff sort of on the back burner. I don't even put like chapters from the next book in the backs of my books, just because it's more important to me to write the next one than to be specializing the back matter and the design and the marketing funnel. I do, however, want sometime in 2023, I'm getting to the point again where I could get like an assistant or a person who could help me out with a bunch of that stuff. And that is, for me personally, and maybe for other people who are out there too, boy, do I get sidetracked, and boy, can I hyper focus on something really, really good. And boy, will that thing be good and very entertaining, but it is not as good for me as writing the next book. So for the next year, I'm trying to only do that, and I am just on the cusp of being able to grab somebody and be like, "Hi, I have all these ideas that I would love to do in the books, but that would consume me, and I would not be writing. So why don't you do that instead? And here is some money." That's how I want to do things.
I would imagine for you and Melinda, you guys have tons of books. It would be hard to update all that back matter all the time and to constantly go back and everything.
I have one file that I use for print, for everything, and one file that I use for digital. And every time a new book comes out, because they're all connected, the series, I only write fantasy. I only write fantasy.
Right.
So I just update that, put that in the next one, and slowly over time, because my books are widely available, updating it everywhere. But the updating it everywhere does not happen immediately. But I haven't done anything with QR codes. I still very few print books. I still like 90-something% digital, and mostly I'm selling a lot of box sets. So that's where a lot of this year, especially, I put out a bunch of box sets, and like people just were snapping these things up. I was just putting them out for the few people that I know on my list, like, because I discount them, so it's cheaper to get the box set than to buy the entire series, individual books. So I always do that, because I know some people have, not everybody can afford to buy the book at the price that it is set at. So I do the box sets to help them out. And I did not expect I didn't expect what the sales that I had on them. So I'll have to think about the QR codes, because I really don't. I mean, I'm the only person buying my print books because I want copies for my shelves, but everyone else is buying the ebooks. But that's something to think about, though.
For sure.
I don't know that I'll be I don't know if I'll be creating QR codes and putting them on anytime soon. That's a lot of books to update.
Yeah, I push print books. I was going to say I push print books really, really hard. And if that's a big part of your strategy, that's a very, obviously different. What you are doing is going to determine what tools are best for you. If you're not doing a bunch of print books, then you shouldn't be worrying about QR codes. Like, you shouldn't even learn how to create one. It's useless. But if you're like, I'm doing live shows and going to conventions, and I was going to conventions. Anyway, I love print books. I love selling direct on my website and everything like that.
Convention.
I can't wait for my first one like this. Yeah, like my first.
I mean,
I've been to comic conventions as a goer, you know, but to like have a table and have my books out and stuff, that's going to be a trip. We've got some more questions in the chat that I'm going to get to in just a minute, but I did want to throw it to my panelists themselves. I know that some of you guys had your own topics in mind to throw out there during the discussion today. Lauren, I haven't heard from you in a while. Was there anything in particular that you wanted to cover today in the topic of publishing?
Oh man.
She's the TikTok queen. Can we come back and talk about
I am
queen
no
of
queen.
TikTok.
I follow you. I
am no
see what
queen.
you're doing on TikTok. You're doing amazing on there.
You are killing it on there.
Reviewing it. Like we need to talk about that because you were amazing on TikTok, and I love your honesty, and I just love you. You're just amazing.
Oh my god, I'm like blushing. I mean,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that.
No, that actually helps direct me on a topic because I was totally blanking.
I was so excited that you were going to be on here. Like I was screaming when I saw your name on the email. I was like, "Oh my god, I follow her on TikTok. She's amazing."
So like, I mean, and I wouldn't say TikTok queen because I have less than 2K followers right now, but
I have 600. So that's amazing to me.
Killing
yeah,
it.
I mean, I guess I try to. I don't always try to do the trend stuff because I just can't keep up with everything that's going on. Usually what I try to do is when I'm creating content, if I'm either trying to directly address either somewhat of a topic of conversation in my, and how I can relate it, my world to like things they're familiar with, or the process of what I'm doing in relation to my books and stuff like that. I do have, it's so weird as far as how I pick my content because literally the most random stuff is what takes off or, takes off in most cases. Like I have a backup account because when TikTok was, especially when Book Talk was having a lot of drama where like if any book talker opened their mouth about something that was going on, like the mob would come in and have them mass banned or something like that. So I'm like, okay, I'll make up a backup account in case something happens. And so my backup account has just random nonsense on it, mostly like TTRPG, like story time stuff. And then out of the blue, I talk about a snowman war with a retirement community and a lawn decoration. And it's literally my most viewed video at like 24K. I've not had anything else since then that comes close to that. So when I tell you it's very random, it is very random. I mean, as far as
it was a great story, though. It was a really great story, and your delivery, the way you told it, like I was glued to the screen. So that's why 24,000 people watched it.
I mean, I guess like a little bit of my background is that back in the day, I had a laughably traumatic experience in my junior honors English class where I had to deliver a monologue as a character from the Crucible. I will not mention what, because in this day and age, it'll get canceled. And it was the most embarrassing thing that we should not have had to do. Okay. And so since then, like public speaking, I don't have the same fear of it. And I guess I just have developed this weird animated delivery on how I tell my stories. But keep in mind that I have no ability to remember scripts. So literally when I'm here doing my TikToks, I'll have done 20 takes just to spit out 6 words. And
wow.
But then I'm like choreographing it in my head on how I want presented to the screen. So I mean, I guess what I would have to say is my method of marketing on TikTok specifically is just find something that you resonate with, that you can kind of connect and compare with the material you're trying to present, and then honestly give it some animated flair, and people respond very well to comedy. I mean, two things that algorithms respond well to is either drama or comedy. And I prefer not to go the drama negative route. I mean, even though it is easy clicks, I just don't have the mental capacity to just constantly be fighting with people on the internet. Like I just shut down on that. So even though I do have like hot takes on stuff, I try to just bite my tongue, and I would rather amplify, voices that have a better perspective and can better articulate that by like reposting their material or commenting on it or supporting that. And then if I do have something that I feel is very important to say and that I feel I can articulate it either in a comedic fashion or in a reasonable manner that doesn't seem like that's going to bring up too much incense or, drama, then I will speak on it. But yeah, I think with TikTok for me, I'm literally just feeling everything out. And it seems that people respond well to animated comedy.
I want to toss in real quick on the, because comedy versus drama, that is a thing that I've experienced a lot because my main video platform was YouTube. I still make YouTube videos occasionally, but I was doing it every week religiously for a long time. And comedy and drama, this is an important way to think about it. Comedy and drama can go similarly viral, but drama stays forever. My drama videos, I still get comments on my YouTube drama videos 6-8 years later. Whereas like my comedy videos that got similar outreach, similar number of views, I don't have people like coming around and that sounds like a bad thing for comedy and for drama, but also you don't want the kind of comments that people leave on your drama videos 8 years later. Nobody wants it. I guarantee you don't want to live your life that way. So like, we have enough drama on the internet. I would like to also add my voice to please don't do drama. Please don't. Just do comedy. Make us laugh. Please, God. Please make me laugh.
Along that note, not just the drama thing, but as soon as we mentioned TikTok and Book Talk and specifically, the chat kind of lit up a little bit about how much they hear that Book Talk is a whole pain and it's crazy and the whole thing. I did have a quote that I wanted to read today. This is from a book called Tools of Titans, and it is by Tim Ferriss, and it reads as follows: 10% of people will find a way to take anything personal, expect it, and treat it as math. Particularly as you build an audience, this 10% can turn into a big number. Mentally prepare yourself before publishing anything. Oh, I have 1,000 readers now. That means 100 are going to respond like assholes. Not because I'm bad, not because they're bad, but because that's how the math works. If you anticipate it, it will throw you off less. On top of that, I assume that 1% of my audience is completely batshit crazy, just like the general population, which helps me handle the far scarier stuff. If you wrongly assume that everyone's going to respond with smiles and high fives, you're going to get slapped, you'll react impulsively, and triple the damage. That I read earlier this week, and it kind of blew my mind and stuck out to me as very good advice. I just thought that would be appropriate for anybody publishing stuff.
From what I've seen on Book Talk, that's that math checks out.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It also helps you survive Amazon reviews as well.
Yeah, I mean, the way he phrases it is audience in general, right? Like just any group of people, you get 100 people in a room, 10 of them are going to be, just dumpster fires. So just, expect it. It's just math. It's not that they're bad. It's not that you're bad.
And I think someone was talking, I think on a live stream here on YouTube earlier this week, like when you have small audiences, most people are positive. But as they get bigger, you get more and more negative people in the group.
You also get a bigger gray area. That's been a big thing for me that I've found is if you got like I've got my Discord server. My Discord server is my favorite place on the entire internet. It's where I prefer to go over anything else. It's also like the smallest platform I have. It's a few hundred people. Well, in a platform of a few hundred people, you're going to have very few people who are in the gray area. You're going to have people who are real assholes, and then you kick them out of your Discord, and then you're gonna have people who are generally cool, you love them, you spend all your time with them. That's why my Discord is awesome. When you get up to 10,000 followers on YouTube, 100,000 Twitter followers and everything like that, you've got the people who you can just be like, this person's bad for me or I'm bad for them, and I'm gonna block or mute them because we don't need to be interacting on the internet. You're going to have all the people you really like, and then you're going to have a wide gray area. The gray area, for me personally, is the biggest trouble because it's the people who say stuff that's borderline. You're like, are they right? Are they wrong? But you spend so much mental energy focusing on the people who like, probably something is bad with them. Probably they're part of the 10%, but they're on the upper 1% of the 10%. And those people mess with me more than anybody else. The worst thing to happen to me, not because they're bad, not because I'm bad, but the worst thing to happen to me is when that 1% gets real loud.
They're asking for a link to your Discord. It's not in the description below. I will grab it for you, Richard, and throw it up in a little while. Let's see here. All right, let's throw it to the questions that we have lined up here. Shannon, you threw up what's the best way to market a box set? Why don't we start with you since you have marketed a box set so far?
Well, I didn't actually. I mean, mine was more soft marketing. Okay. So I didn't pay for any promotion companies. I just told my audiences and put it in my newsletter, and it did sell very well when I did that. And that was on its release, and I've sold nothing since. It's been less than a month, but still, I haven't sold anything else.
Anybody else here do box sets?
Yeah, I have a lot. I have.
Your thoughts?
Well, this series has 5 box sets, and I have box sets for another series. But so, okay, I'm wide. So I'm going to preface this by saying, if you're in Kindle Unlimited, you absolutely can't do what I do, and I'm sorry for you.
Well, I'm going wide next year, so
that you can do this. So what I went wide in January, and that's been like, it's the difference between when I was in Kindle Unlimited and now is like absolutely insane. I've shared that journey with I have a small mastermind group that I've shared that journey with. And anyways, back to the box sets. So what I did in January when I went wide is so this series at that time had 6 books. So I created 2 box sets, one that was books 1 to 3, one that was books 4 to 6, put them both out. I did my research. This is the one that I created the cover for. I got a book bub with it. I got it immediately, the book bub, and it for the end of that first month. So it would have been out for a couple of weeks. So I had the book bub on that. The book bub is the absolute best way to advertise your box set. It sold, I had an international book bub, and it sold 700 copies. Just out the door in 2 days, 700 copies of the first box set. And then I sold a bunch of copies, I don't remember how many, of the second box set. So, all right, so we've got books 1 to 3 and 4 to 6. That's 2 box sets. I created another box set that was books 1 through 6 because that's a complete story arc in the series. And I put that out. I did no marketing on that. I put that out. It is $20 on it's $19.99. It's not on Amazon because you can't price over $9.99 and get 70%. So it's not on Amazon. It's on all the other retailers. And that one I get every time I promote this book or the other books in the individual copies. I sell a couple of that larger box set. I also have, I mentioned that it's not quite linear between this and his sister's series. So I have a box set that has 10 books in it, which is the first 6 of his books, which is a complete box set, which is a complete arc. And I also have the first 4 books in her series because they are a companion arc to this one, to his books. So that's 10 books. And I sell that for $29.99. And when I promote either his series or her series, I sell a few of those. So, and I also have for her series a box set of her first 3 books that also got a book bub in May, and that sold pretty well. Not as well. The cover wasn't as strong, so that's something that I need to go back, and it did earn out. So I have to go back on that. And yeah, I think it didn't earn as much because I only had book 4 for people to go to, but it wasn't on that series page because, it doesn't make sense to put book 4 on the series page for the box set. So you would have had to do a little bit there were links at the back of the book, but you would have to have opened the book up and gone to the back of the book. And people did, this book 4th book did sell pretty well. So next time I think I will for this series, I will write all the 6 books and put out the 2 box set of books 1 to 3 and the box set of 4, 5, and 6 at the same time, and try and get a book club on the first one. So, and the book club was a 99-cent book club, 99-cent international. That's all
I was going to ask you if you ever dropped down the price on your box set.
Oh yeah, that's why I do the 3-book box sets, so that I can drop the first one down, and then there's the sequel sets that people can go on to, and that's where you make back, because 99 cents you get a pittance on Amazon, especially if you're wide, because you only get the 30%, which is like peanuts. But if somebody buys the sequel box set, which is $9.99 for 3 books, which saves you, because the individual books are $4.99, so you're saving at least $1 per book, then I'm making back some of that. And so now this series has 3 box sets: 1 to 3, 4 through 6, 7 through 9, plus the books 1 to 6 in a box set, plus the 1 to 10. So now you see how it starts to like readers have options. And just the other day, somebody bought the books. I had like a discount, so they bought the books 1 through 6 box set, and also the 7 through 9 one, and they got the entire series for a lot less than if they had bought the first, each book individually. And I got a nice little what it was called, royalty, because somebody buying the box set, you get a larger chunk. 70% of like $13, which is what it was on sale for the box set for books 1 to 6, is a lot nicer than 70% of like $4. So,
and when you do your discount, when you do your discounts on your when you're promoting your single books, which lead to sales on your box set, are your box sets at that time also discounted on price while that first one is on sale, or do you keep your box set at full price?
It depends. Sometimes I'll keep the box set full price. Sometimes I'll discount it. I have so many of these things that like sometimes I forget that I discounted the individuals, and I'll discount the box set. And sometimes I have too many books. I have 19 published books and like 6 or 7 box sets. So I sometimes lose track of who's on sale, where for what. And I've had the individual books and the box set on sale at the same time. Not for 99 cents. If I only make the box set 99 cents. It's only the box set for books 1 to 3 if I'm offered a book club. If I'm not offered a book club, it is not 99 cents. It'll be like $4.99. So, but it's still a good deal. $4.99 for 3 books instead of paying $4.99 per book. It's still a lot better.
Right. Thank you.
And it's a long enough series that it supports that. So I hope it was clear. Like I have a lot of box sets. If I didn't confuse anybody.
It's the way to go. It's absolutely amazing. Like I love box sets. And I was gonna say, when it comes to when it comes to selling box sets, the answer is BookBub. The only thing is that BookBub is BookBub, and it's very, very hard to get a BookBub deal. But you always have to toss that out there just in case, because there's always a new author watching, right? And it's like they're like, "What's BookBub?" And we forget that these things are not that these things are new to a lot of people. BookBub is the way to sell box sets. My first box set ever, which is compiled in a single print volume right here. This guy, this was #1 in the entire Kindle store because of BookBub, strictly and only because of BookBub. That was in 2016, I want to say. #1, the top Kindle store, like the top Kindle book in the entire store for an entire day. BookBub is the thing. However, these days they just don't take Kindle Unlimited. You have to be wide. And by the way, thank you very much for the reminder, because after being on Kindle Unlimited since 2015, I just went wide, and I forgot that I could put box sets on other stores for higher than $9.99. Oh my God!
And you can put the same book in multiple box sets. Only if you are wide. If you're in KU, you cannot do that. You can have this book as an individual and this book as a box set, but you cannot have this in multiple box sets. But if you are wide, you can box up your books in as many ways as you like. And I would encourage you to box up your books in every way that makes sense. If it makes sense to do them as duologies and also as trilogy, there is a market for every single way that you box it. And the sky is really the limit. And it gives readers more options and more ways to find you. So that's another way to think about it.
I'm awesome. Super excited to another thing. Just while we're talking about marketing box sets, another huge thing, and this is obviously a lot more work. So this is more. This is something that not everyone's going to be able to do. But if you can do audiobook box sets, those are crazy popular on Audible, where people can spend an Audible credit to get your book. And like, I
didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
It's huge.
Because that is the Audible strategy, is that a lot of people are Audible subscribers. They pay $15 a month. That gets them a credit for anything in the store. If you can give them a box set that's 40 hours, or my current plan is I'm putting all of my books up to this point, 14 books in a giant box set. The thing is going to be, I think, 130 hours long. That's going to be one box set on Audible. I'm fully expecting people to go absolutely nuts spending their Audible credits on it. Yeah,
I want it too. Contact me. I want it.
And I'm the narrator. I've heard the damn thing already. You know,
I want that.
Yeah. Now, you guys are getting me, first of all, really, really psyched for box sets. My first book isn't out, but I'm doing a trilogy, and I'm like, I can already see it in my head. I can see the box set. It's gonna look glorious. I just threw a link into the chat. Here it is. David I'm gonna mispronounce his. I don't know if it's Goffrin or Gogrin. I believe it's Gogrin. This gentleman is a very accomplished writer, editor, and he has a free marketing course, marketing and publishing course that I've been taking over the last couple weeks now in preparation for my launch in a couple of months. And one of the biggest takeaways that I took from it is this idea of a 5-day sale week on Amazon. You are maybe giving your first book away for free, and the second book is heavily discounted, or maybe you only have one book out and it's discounted for that. But for those 5 days, your book is discounted and you're promoting the hell out of it. You're going to your newsletter the first day, you're doing newsletter swaps on the second day, you're doing interviews on a channel or whatever it is you're doing throughout the week to market this book to your audience for all 5 days. And the idea is to have as balanced a sales week as possible. And the ultimate goal is not to drop off on that last day, that Friday, but to actually go up, even if it's just a little bit, but to just go up. And the idea being that Amazon, when it sees you have a week where you are very evenly selling every day, not necessarily start super strong and then taper off, but literally like just, even if your numbers are not high numbers, but they're consistent, they're balanced throughout the week. And even if you get that little bump at the end of the week, Amazon will then promote your book in its emails and its, those who bought this also bought this, all that stuff. Your book starts popping up in that for the next couple of weeks. And so you get a nice little halo of sales after your sale ends at its full price. And so you might make great numbers during your sale. You might make regular or even mediocre numbers during your sale week. But as long as they're consistent, you're going to get that halo. And that halo comes when your book is back to full price. And in his course, he's explaining that that's where the real money is, so to speak. Any thoughts on this, you guys? Any experience with this? Garrett, I see you nodding over there. I'm going to throw it to you first.
Oh yeah, I mean that's just 100% a thing that happens. Again, like all of my biggest months and years in the past have all been due to BookBub, which is one reason why I'm very excited to finally have gone wide again recently. I also am excited because the whole reason that I went wide in the first place was because I actually got a book deal with Yonder, which has been great. I don't know if we've talked about that yet, but Yonder is like a brand new platform that people are publishing on. Having a lot of fun with them so far. It's been great. But yeah, you run a sale, and the way everything works algorithmically. And I will say that this did used to be better than it is now. So there is a lot of, I feel like there is still a lot of sort of lingering advice that is for the way things were in 2015, 2016, 2017. But you still do get a halo. The one thing that BookBub will still take people for is international only BookBubs. So I've had a few books that get international only BookBubs where they email it out everywhere across the world except for the US. It's still worth it, but it's not nearly as good as it used to be. But then across, the Amazon ecosystem, when I was Amazon exclusive, Canada, UK, Australia, everywhere else, you've got your sales spike, and you hit real high numbers in those foreign stores, and you do always actually get a little bit of bleed through. I don't know exactly how that works, because I didn't like cross promote it, because I didn't put it on sale in the US at the same time that it was on. It's complicated.
Well,
but
you should
then,
next time put it on sale in the US too, because I've only had international book clubs, and I put it even in the US, and the sales, because I'm wide, international book clubs are very profitable for me.
Interesting. Okay.
Because if you think of Amazon is 80% of the book market in the US only. Outside of the US, people they don't buy books from Amazon. They don't read books from Amazon. Like the Canada and the UK store and the Australia store are very small compared to Kobo. And like Kobo is a juggernaut outside of the US.
Kobo was great when I was with them in 2015.
Oh yeah.
So,
and it's so if you get an international book club and you're in Kindle Unlimited, just understand that you may not make back your money, because most of those Amazon US is 80% of the book market in the US only. In Canada and the UK and Australia, those are very small stores. So you're not going to be able to make enough to justify that. And so a lot of people turn down international book clubs, which is great, because those of us that are wide, we do really well with international book clubs. And so it's okay if you turn it down. Like, maybe they'll give it to us. But I did want us to go back to your point, and this is something you should know since you're leaving Kindle Unlimited, is that halo effect is for KU books. There is no halo effect for wide. Amazon actually suppresses wide books. Oh yeah, it's something Kindlepreneur, what's his name? The guy who runs Kindlepreneur, he did a whole article about this. It's something that's been discussed and speculated about. It's once you leave Amazon Kindle Unlimited, you will notice that once you stop promoting, your books will start to drop. Amazon is not going to push it because they want you to be exclusive. They do not want you to leave the exclusivity. So there's a lot of things that Amazon gives you when you're in Kindle Unlimited, and you no longer have access to them when you are wide. So things work a bit differently.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I have still always had profitability on international only BookBubs, but that is very much, your mileage may vary. I've heard from lots of people that it's not profitable for them, but my profitability on international only BookBubs now is maybe 2 to 3x, whereas back in the day on Kindle Unlimited BookBubs, it was bonkers. We don't need to get into specific numbers, but it was a real good few years, really fantastic when BookBub was really doing that. But you do still see the halo effect, and I guess, as you're saying, it's a lot more pronounced if you're in Kindle Unlimited, because page reads last forever. And I did always still see sales that would go on after the book was back to full price. Sales as well as Kindle Unlimited page reads would increase tremendously. So my general advice
harder
to people,
when you're wide after the end of the sale thing.
Exactly.
But you don't have to run the sale just for 5 days when you're wide. You can run sales for as long as you like. Also.
100%. Yeah.
So I wonder if that might be different for people who are just starting out. I am in Kindle Unlimited, and I don't really see that halo effect. So that could be because I don't have a lot of a backlist, or my stuff sucks.
No, it's not. It's they've changed a lot of the categories. There's been a lot of talk in the last couple of weeks. The way Amazon used to work is that you could pick your 10 categories. You go and you email Amazon, and you get your 10 categories, and then you would rank. If you're selling a bunch of books and you start moving up in the ranks, you could rank anywhere within those 10 categories. And then Amazon changed things because there was a lot of people who were putting their epic fantasy, I'm not going to name names, but there's this one particular person who does it in puzzle books so that they get a number 1 on it. And so just a lot of other people trying to game the system. So Amazon clamped down on all of that, and now they decide which 3 categories you rank in. You only rank in 3.
In those 3,
and there's only 3 categories that show on your book page, and Amazon chooses what 3 book categories, it was good for me because my books were finally in the right categories. I've been fighting with them for years to get them. They're epic fantasy, but they were not in the epic fantasy book category, no matter what I did. And now they finally are. So I was like, yay, I'm not going to say
mine
anything.
to children's. And I'm like, it's not children's, it's YA.
Well, that's another problem. And so a lot of people have been seeing reduced income because the categories that Amazon sometimes chooses for them to, when they're to rank in, they're not getting as much visibility. They're number 300 when they would have been number 50 in this other category that they used to rank in. So that gives them a lot less visibility. So that might be something that is playing into it for you. It's playing into it for a lot of people. They're just post upon post and 20 books at 50K. There's also some posts in Wide for the Win and other groups. So it's a large problem that's affecting a lot of authors. I don't see Amazon changing it anytime soon.
Yeah, but I've had my whole trilogy out since June, and I haven't noticed the difference. And I run a promotion basically every month on my first book, and I stay in between 50 to 300 ranks in several different categories for my first book.
That's awesome.
But I don't see that halo. I haven't seen that halo with any of my. Yeah.
You have to hit, Amazon also changed things like the ranks. The ranks don't, your ranks don't change as quickly as they used to. Like when I had a book club in January, the rank on that book, it didn't change for several days. And because I was actually number 1 in epic fantasy on UK and Australia, but I couldn't see it for 48 hours. And at that point, the other promotions that I had booked were they didn't do very well at all the other promotion sites, which is weird, but it was fine because BookBub sold way outsold everything, and it paid for all of the promotion and everything. So I don't complain. No complaints about that part of it. But
I'm excited to go wide.
Well, and the other, and I will say this for being wide, it's not for everybody. It's a lot of work. It's not for it. Certain genres do better wide. Let's just put it this way, I've made 4 times what I made on Amazon just by being wide, because there are other stores now, because I'm in 4 additional stores that I wasn't in before. And those stores have, I was just looking through some of the fantasy, and a lot of it's almost entirely traditional books. There's very few indie fantasy books in sort of the areas that I'm in. So if you've read all the traditional stuff, because they're only putting out a book a year, and I'm putting out 3 to 6 books per year, depending on my job and how much writing I've gotten done. I'm constantly putting out new stuff. So I don't know. I think it's also getting visibility in the other stores is different. It's not the same as Amazon. There's not as many books, and their algorithms work differently, and they have more promotions. So, I mean, Kobo has lots of promotions, but Barnes & Noble doesn't have as many, but the ones that they do have are pretty cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. But it's not for everybody. It depends on your genre. Romance is very KU.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. We have a couple of way back questions from previous topics that we rolled through, so I wanted to get through them real quick before we wrap up today. Do we create separate landing pages for each QR code so we can use them to track which QR code they came from, or do we just use one general purpose QR code / landing page? Anybody have any thoughts on the whole QR code thing?
Well, Amazon now has I was writing this in the chat, now has the attribution tags. So I know in Amazon, you can get an actual link that has that. So I don't know how it all works yet because I'm still doing it. And Heidi Thorne has videos coming out on this. She's already put some out, and this next Monday, so tomorrow, she's going to put out her results of using the attribution tags. But she says it's good news. But if you use that, you can use that for your promo. So you can see how many people actually click on that link that has come from your promo. And you could probably use that for your QR code too, to see how many people are clicking on it.
Very cool. Anybody else?
I think it's another one of those things where you have to evaluate it based off of where you're at, how much time you have, and what you're trying to do. For me personally, I have one QR code. It goes to my newsletter sign-up page, which also has a thing for basically what book to guide people to what book series they would be most interested in or what they want to do next. Just because the idea of trying to do as much, management and administration of all the various QR codes that you would have to have as you write more and more books and they keep coming out drives me a little bit batty. But again, one day I would love to have a person who that's their whole job and they really geeked out about it and really got into figuring all that stuff out. That would be amazing.
It's always best to find the nerdiest guy or girl with any particular set of skills. Like when you're just really nerdy about a thing, please come and do this thing for me.
Yep, absolutely.
A general question for everybody, not specifically publishing related, but I guess storytelling in general. Your favorite piece of advice that you have been given in relation to writing? I'll throw it out to anybody.
I really like that. Oh, sorry.
No, you go first. You go first.
Okay. I really have enjoyed coming across all of Becca Syme's videos, and I've learned a lot. I really want to take the Clifton Strengths test, but I want to do it as part of her course, which I'm going to do next year because it is a few $100s. But from her videos, I've learned that I'm probably an intuitive writer. And so best thing I learned, because I bounce a lot of ideas off my husband, and often he feels a little defeated after we've had a conversation because he's like, you never take my ideas. And Becca Syme says, if you're an intuitive writer, discovery writer, you know what you want, but it's in your subconscious and you can't access it. So when someone brings up ideas, you're like, intuitively, wait, that doesn't sound right for my character or the plot point or whatever it is that you're talking about. So them saying no, or them saying the ideas that you say no to is still helpful because that's how you work. That's how you access the information in your subconscious. And that made a lot of sense to me and made my husband feel so much better.
Anyone else?
Big, hugely widely known knowledge in screenwriting and in filmmaking is that producers and everything like that will always come back with notes on scripts and whatnot. Their notes always point you to where there is a problem that you need to solve. Their actual advice to fix it is always trash. Always trash. Throw it in the bin immediately. It's never a good suggestion. But they have spotted an area where there is a problem with the story, and you can then work it out. But their idea is always a bad one. My favorite writerly advice, which I am always consistently happiest, most productive, most fulfilled, all the rest of it, when I follow this advice, is write every day. And I have finally just decided that I'm not going to let myself get away with not doing it anymore because it has always led to the best times in my life. So I am trying to write 5,000 words a day every day for a year. And I've been keeping the streak going so far. We'll see how I feel a year from now. But
for all of this or not for 22? You just started this?
I started this a week ago.
Oh,
5K a day every day for a week so far, and I've got outlines for all of it, and I'm just going to try to have the best year of my life. But seriously, working on it every day and having the knowledge that I've done what I set out to do and accomplish every single day. Like if it's really important to you and if it really matters, if you really want to build your writing, continue to finish your next book, feel like you're getting somewhere, working on it every single day for me is the single best, most important thing. For a lot of people, that's not going to be 5,000 words of first draft every day. For most people, for almost everyone, actually, probably no one. I'm probably the only person in the world, but something, whether it whatever your next step is, work on it every single day. I am always happiest and most fulfilled when I make myself do that, no matter all the reasons that I can find to not do that.
And for anyone out there who's intimidated by the idea of hitting a certain word count a day, just like Garrett said, it doesn't have to be that way for everybody. That's what makes him happy and that's what works for him. With me, I try the Neil Gaiman thing where I sit down with a set amount of time to write in, and this is my writing time, and that's the only thing that I am doing during this time. There's no phone, there's no this, there's no that. During this time, I am allowed two things. I can write or I cannot write, but I can't do anything else. If that means I'm just staring at a wall thinking of ideas, fine. Like I didn't get any words down. Okay, but I didn't waste my time doing anything else. I was trying to write the entire time. And so even if I don't get the words down, which honestly never happens once I sit down to write, like who wants to just stare at a wall for 2 hours or whatever it is? Eventually you're going to get bored and you're going to want to write, and you're going to write something, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. You wrote, you got some words down, you got the work done, you can go about your day feeling better about yourself. Anybody else have some really good writing advice?
Write what you love. I know everybody
Amen.
says it, but it's true. What you love is what you're going to sell the most of, what you're going to be excited to write about, what you will write the most of. So write what you love. And if what you love is not a really popular trope or genre, don't worry about it, because you love it, so it's not work for you. You're going to want to talk about it, and that's all marketing is talking about what you love everywhere and anywhere to anyone and everyone. And my other piece of advice is today's sales or lack of sales do not predict what will happen tomorrow or the next day. So if you don't sell a book today, that does not mean that you won't sell 700 books tomorrow or next week or next month. So don't let the number on your sales dashboard determine your self-worth or the perceived worth of your backlist or your front list. So your front list is whatever book that you're writing now. Just, it's a number. It's just math. Just set it aside. It has no bearing on what will happen tomorrow or the next day. You don't
There's
know
that
if
math
you'll get
again.
chosen for book club, 2 days from now. So those zeros might then become a really big spike. You don't know. You might put out a box set that does very well. You don't know what will happen. So those are the two things that I just want to put out there. They're things that a lot of people say, but we all forget about them, and they are so foundational and they're so important.
Also, conversely, if you're selling 700 books today, that doesn't mean you're going to sell 700 books tomorrow.
That too.
I fucked that up real bad in 2016. Don't plan on always selling at your best sales ever. It will be bad.
There's a lot of luck in publishing, so.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of luck in most things. Lauren, how about you? Any pieces of writing advice you've gotten over the years that you feel like sharing before we wrap up?
Whether you know the meme or the slogan, just do it. Should I write that? Yes. Should I do this spreadsheet? Yes. There you go, Richard. Should I give this a shot? Yes. Just do it. Like, I mean, and essentially that's what a lot of everyone else has been saying is, just give it a shot. There's, I've had over the past few months, I've had a couple of individuals, either reach out to me or comment or something like that, where they've not had supportive family members or supportive, there's been backgrounds where they're just like, well, should I do this? And it's like, yes, you should. Do it for yourself, if no one else. But just do it. Like, you don't owe anyone else an explanation for why you want to write what you want to write. And if people can't be supportive in your life, then find your community. Find the people who will be there for you. And honestly, it's amazing how many just strangers on the internet are just right there. They're ready to give you all the love and support that you want or need when you're pursuing your passion. So, yep, just do it.
You don't even need that. I wrote 20 books and I sold a lot of books, and I have nobody to help me. I have absolutely no support from anywhere. So you can, if you can't find it anywhere, that doesn't mean you can't do it. So I just want to put that out there for people, because I see that a lot in groups. People have no support. I was like, I have none either, and I'm doing it. You can do it. It is possible.
Oh my God. Bethany has fallen to the dark side. We've lost her. She's gone forever.
One of us.
One of us.
Folks, this has been an absolute blast. I've learned a hell of a lot. I'll tell you what. I hope that everyone else did as well. I'm going to throw it to you guys one by one. Once again, say goodbye to the folks at home. Let them know what you have coming up next. If there's an event you want them to know about, a sale, if you just want them to sign up for your newsletter, whatever it may be, we're just going to go in clockwise order here. Miss Melinda, you're up first.
Oh, okay. I'm Linda Casera. I write epic fantasy, and if you like epic fantasy, especially the cozier, more fun fantasy where we're not lopping people's heads off or I'm not killing the main character in every book, check out my website, melindacasera.com. Yeah.
Very nice.
I'm also on YouTube. I have all my audiobooks. My books are all on YouTube as well.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I want to do that too. I want to put like animation, like audiobooks and stuff, and make a whole thing here. Lauren, you're up next.
Hi. I'm Lauren Sefcik, and my website is www.sefcik.com, or you can follow me on TikTok. Please follow me on TikTok at lsefcik, and you can see all the shenanigans there as well. And yeah, I've got book 2 that's slated to hopefully come out by Q4 of 2023, and then hopefully after that I'll have a couple more books that are also going to be coming out in 2024. So yeah.
Beautiful. Senor Garrett Robinson.
Yes. So you can find me at the website that's named after my books, underrealm.net, where you can find them all. And again, if you like print books, they're big, they're beautiful. I designed them myself, and buy them from me, not from Amazon. But if you are a writer who is more interested in the writing side of things and you need a little bit of motivation, I would actually recommend that you follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/vloganovel. I stream every day. I'm writing 5,000 words every single day, as long as I can possibly keep it up. And if you want to tune in for the ASMR of the clicky clacky on the keyboards, or if you want to tune in for writing advice, whatever, I'm there every single day, and hope to see you around.
That sounds awesome. I'm gonna jump on that right away. That's great. That sounds better than sprints to me, but that's me. Yeah. Shannon, one of my favorite collaborators, please say your goodbyes.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you to everyone in the chat. This has been an awesome discussion, and I'm happy to be here. I have a YouTube channel under SC Houston. I talk about writing and my self-publishing journey. I also have right now weekly writing sprints, but that will be changing in the new year. I'm doing bi-weekly writing sprints because I'm dedicating more time to writing. And I am 1/3 of the self-publishing Tips and Tricks podcast with Ben Pick from Writing to Write and Morgan Lee, with our season finale coming out on Thursday at 3 p.m. Central Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And it does have clips from every single author that we've interviewed over the last year. It has been a great season. And 1/2 of the AuthorTube Writing Conference applications are now open. If you have a YouTube channel where you publish writing and or publishing content, we are looking for you to come present. So please fill out an application, and those are open until January 31st. You can find the application on AuthorTubeWritingConference.com.
Awesome. Guys, as for me, this is the season finale, so I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break from YouTube for the next at least a week or two, get through the holiday season, as I'm sure you guys are all going to be spending with your families and whatnot. So don't expect too much on the channel over the next 2 weeks. But then after that, I'm going to be creating some original videos. I'm going to be doing some surprise live streams. I'm going to be doing all kinds of stuff to kind of gear up for the launch of the book in a couple of months. And what the future holds for Livestream Sunday, I'm not quite sure yet. I don't know if it's going to survive in this particular iteracy or if it's going to morph a little bit next year with the sort of shift in the channel, since this channel has always been sort of in support of my fellow authors and everybody else's. Now that my book is coming out, it's going to be about me, baby. It's books by Adrian. So
nice.
So things are going to change a little bit around here, but I still want to be, this kind of hub for AuthorTube that I love being. So Tuber Book Club is going to survive. And like I said, we'll find a way to keep Livestream Sunday going in one way or another, some capacity. Livestream Saturday? You're so clever. So everybody stick around, sign up for the newsletter. All the links are down below. Everybody else's links are down below. Please go support these amazing authors and all of their awesome projects, so many of which I wish I had more time in a day so I could read. Incidentally, I started reading this monstrosity, and I don't know if she got a booty on her. Like this, she's got a booty. And I'm 3 chapters in, and I'm angry because it's so freaking good that it makes me want to rewrite my entire novel. she has like single like 5-word sentences in here that break my brain with how well they are written. It's incredible. So if anybody hasn't read The Priory of the Orange Tree, highly recommend. Again, 3 chapters in, and I already know. Highly recommend. It's amazing.
What genre?
It's high fantasy. Yeah, it's fantasy. It's Lord of the Rings. It's all that stuff. There's dragons. There's magic. There's all that. Oh, so good, so good.
Because I literally didn't notice it until you stuck it behind the book. Is that a doorstop with Hodor on it?
It sure is. If you know, you know.
Okay. All right. So first of all, that's incredible. Please send me the link where I can buy one of those for myself. Second of all, well done on you for taking a stance on such a wedge issue.
Richard,
Wow.
I wish I could send you the link. This actually came in one of those like monthly box subscription things that my sister is assigned to, and she threw it to me because she didn't get it. She doesn't read and she doesn't watch Game of Thrones. I mean, she reads, but she doesn't read these books, and she doesn't watch Game of Thrones, so she doesn't know. She didn't know what this meant, so she just gave it to me, and I was just like, "Oh my god, you have no idea how hilarious this is."
It's fine. I just found it on Google. I'm buying one immediately.
There you go.
did you say you found it?
Darkly hilarious. Yeah, he found it on Google.
I did. I will post a link.
It's really nice too. Like the carving on it is really nice. Every once in a while I just pick it up and I'm just like, it's just a really nice doorstop. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much, everybody in the chat. And Right on Writers. Yo, we are out. Bye.